Hello, welcome to CET Help 25. I'm Sri Lakshmi, and today I'll be explaining the topic pollen-pistil interaction. So, the pollination has already occurred. The pollen grains have now reached the stigma of the pistil. So, the stigma of the pistil knows which is the right pollen and which is not the right pollen. It is a wrong pollen for the flower. So, first of all, we have to understand what is the right type of pollen. When a pollen is reaching the stigma of the flower, there are different types of pollen which may reach on the flower, which the stigma can accept for the flower, which will lead to the further events, that is the post-pollination events, are the right type of pollen. The right type of pollen are of three types. So, the first one is a pollen from the same flower. The flower may be a hermaphrodite flower. So this flower will contain both the pistil, also the stamen flower, and the pollen grains from the stamen will reach the stigma of the same flower. This type of pollination is called autogamy. So the pollen from the stamen of the flower is transferred from the stamen to the pistil of the same flower. This is the same flower which is needed to be noted. The second type of pollen which is actually transferring is pollen grains which are coming from a different flower but they are of the same plant. So the same plant will have multiple flowers and the pollen grain from one of the stamens of the flower will reach from that to the pistil of another flower but it is of the same plant. So this type of pollen grain transfer in the same plant is called Geitonogamy. So next type of pollen is the pollen grains from a different plant. So say the plants of same species. There are different plants which may be present around the same area, but they are of the same species. So these pollen grains transfer from the flower of one of the plant to the pistil of another flower of another plant. So here the pollen grain is transferring from the stamen of a flower to the pistil of another flower in another plant. So here the pollen grain is going to a different plant, but they are of the same species, which is to be noted. They are of the same species. And this type of pollination is called Xenogamy. So there are three types of pollination which are occurring and these are mostly acceptable by the stigma of a flower. Autogamy, same flower. Geitonogamy, same plant, different flower. And pollen grain from one plant to another plant, which is Xenogamy. These are but same species. So once the right type of pollen reaches the stigma, it leads to the post-pollination events. Post-pollination, these are the events which occur. These are the main events which occur in after the pollen grain is accepted. So first is the pistil accepts the pollen grain. Of course, it is the right type of pollen, so the pistil accepts the pollen and it allows the pollen tube generation. So once the pollen is accepted by the pistil, it leads to further generation of pollen tube. Thus, the pollen grain germinates itself. It germinates itself on the stigma of the flower and it leads to the pollen tube generation. Second point is the generative cell divides itself to form two male gametes. So we had earlier discussed the generative cell which is present inside the pollen is actually in a two cell stage. So the generative cell thus divides itself to form two male gametes. The generative cell was already in a two cell stage within one cell. This generative cell divides to form two male gametes. Next, The pollen grain enters into the ovule through the micropyle. So the ovule contains a micropylar end, which is a germ pore. It is an opening. The pollen grain enters into the ovule. The pollen tube, which is germinating from the pollen grain, enters into the ovule through the micropyle end. The fourth event is it enters the egg through the synergids. So once the pollen tube enters into the ovule through the micropyle end, the pollen grains enter into the egg. Egg is a mature megaspore, that is a developed female gametophyte. This egg is waiting for it to fertilize. The synergids are part of the female gametophyte, which we had discussed in the previous sessions. So these are the events of which occur after pollination. So I hope the topic is clear. If you have any doubts, you can put them in the comment section. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it and subscribe and please add your comments. Thank you.